Hey guys. So I wanted to come on. I was here um, working on orders, specifically supply orders. And I was thinking back to when I started my business. And when I actually started my business, like I started kind of dabbling with stuff um, in like 2006, 2007, but I didn't get serious until 2008. I guess it was probably 2007 because I think I messed around for like, I don't know, maybe like 6 months and, tried to talk myself out of it and allowed all the negative thoughts and fear based thoughts to kind of take over because that's what happens. I mean, you end up, um, trying to talk yourself out of it, not wanting to take the risk of doing it. And it is a scary process, but you got to just do it. You have to just bite the bullet and do it. Do what you need to do. Anyway, so I messed around for probably 6 months, and a lot of that was not overcoming fear. A lot of that was, how do I do this? How do I do this, effectively? Because there's a lot of parts and pieces, and I started on Etsy. And at that time, the founder of Etsy still ran Etsy. And that was like 2008, Rob. And it was, oh my God, Etsy. I loved Etsy at that point. Rob would go into the forums and you could ask him questions. And I mean, it was a completely different place than it is today. Completely different. People were happy, people were inspired, people were creative, they were flourishing. They just, I mean, people really loved Etsy at that time. The forums were just chock full with people who were happy. They were like, very creative. Like they would get up in the morning, and if you went to the boards, you would see like all these people with these great ideas and asking people for advice, and other people that were helping, that knew they would help them. There was a lot of that type of vibe on Etsy. It was really a fabulous place. And I wanted to be part of that. I wanted to be in that creative space, and I wanted to open a store. And I wanted to do jewelry specifically, and I had like all these ideas, and I am such a creative junkie. I love creative thoughts, creative ideas, anything. I am constantly um coming up with creative things, not just jewelry. I mean, it might be a painting, or it might be my garden, or it might be um, the house, or it might be me, or, it's just constant creative energy is the place that I live. The place that I live. So if there's anybody around me who's not very creative, they can get really bored because I'm just kind of like in my space doing my thing. Anyway, um, the time that I started my business was 2008. And at 2008, we were in a bad financial place in the United States specifically. I don't remember about internationally, but I do remember in the United States we were in a bad financial place. And um, I didn't really pay much attention to it. To be honest with you, I decided I was going to start my business, and I just put my head down and I went to it. I started teaching myself how to do it. And let me tell you that nobody out there, there's like very few people who are going to tell you how to do it. They're not going to give you step-by-step instructions. I'm probably going to give you more information on this channel than most people will ever give you about online selling. Anyway, so I started my channel, and what I decided was that I would make one thing that I really wanted to make. I didn't have much money at that time either. Matter of fact, when I started my channel, I had gotten laid off from my job. That's how slow things were. So I was looking for work and thinking about this business. I wasn't functioning in business at that point. And I decided that I just needed to make one thing and list it and see if it sold. And damned if it didn't sell. And it was one of the happiest days of my life. I was thrilled. Lily! I was thrilled. And it was, I used to make beaded eyeglass chains. And it was one of the cuter ones. And it sold. And this lady, the lady that bought this eyeglass chain, she had that eyeglass chain for probably 10 to 12 years. And it would break periodically, and she would just send it back to me, and I would repair it and then send it back to her. And we literally were able to make her eyeglass chain last for 10, 12 years. It was fun, actually. So when an item would sell on Etsy, I didn't have a web page at that time. When an item would sell, what I would do is I would take the money that I got from that item and I would buy more materials. Well, at that point, I was kind of I didn't have any wholesale accounts. I didn't have, I didn't have like a lot of things that I have today, but Hobby Lobby had fabulous jewelry items for what I was doing at the time. And they would have periodic sales of like 50% off. And I would go over, I would take whatever I had made, which wasn't a whole lot. I mean, let's say it was $5. And I would go buy materials to make another thing, or 2 more things, or 3 more things. And I would make as much as I could possibly make with that one thing. And I had designs in my head, I was like, I really want to make like some specific thing. And I had to research it and find out what to make it out of, and, then make it and then wear it and try to, get a gauge or an idea if they were going to be long lasting and it's funny because like at the beginning, you always start out with like cheap material. You don't want to spend too much money. Well, I found that cheap material is really good for making prototypes and testing them out. But then you're going to want to go to a more expensive material. You're going to want to, I've progressed from, I make all my designs in multiple materials. So, and I used to do them in really cheap materials, but I don't do those anymore, which I don't even know why. I probably should, because there's people who probably would really like those materials. But my point is, you do not have to, if you're talking about an online business, you don't have to go out and spend a bunch of money for a bunch of inventory. And the best time to start that business is not when it's busy, when things are good. It's times like right now. In 2008, it was very similar to how we are right now, except for personally, I think we're in a little bit worse situation. But um, it doesn't really matter because everything is cyclical. Everything ends. It doesn't matter if it's good or bad. There is a period of time for good things, there is a period of time for bad things, and everything does end, including us. So there the time for you, if you are starting your own side hustle, you're starting your own um you know, jewelry business, you want to make jewelry, or, it doesn't really matter. It can be beaded, it can be, it doesn't really matter. Find your niche, find the thing that you like and go for it. Maybe it's not jewelry, maybe it's hair accessories, maybe it's, there's all kinds of things you can do. There's so many things you can do. And in challenging economic times, that is the great time to start because most people need a little extra money. The reason why I say now is the time to start is because you're not going to be inundated by orders. And that sounds like a really great thing. Inundated by orders is a great thing, okay? For me to be inundated by orders is a great thing. For somebody starting out first, beginning to make things, that's not a great thing because you need time to learn all the ins and outs and the nuances, and you need the creative time to come up with the things that you want to make. You need to do a ton of research. Oh my God, I used to research like you can't even imagine. I used to look at different designs. I used to look at different sites on how to make things. I mean, and then there's bookkeeping and there's taxes, all of your normal business ideas or all your business things. Um, all those things you have to learn as well. So the best time to start doing that is right now. I worked a 40 plus hour a week job when I started. I it got so bad that I was working 40 hours a week, 6 days a week, really. 6 days a week. I would work 5 days a week, full time hours, and then part time hours on Saturday. And after work, I would come home and I would work on my business. I would make my orders. I would come up with new designs. I mean, I was always kind of creating designs in my head. I would, research packing materials, or I would research, financial things or whatever. And I would do that as I got busier. It got to the point where I was doing that from the time I got off work until like 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning. And my sleep kept getting smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller. And of course, I still had my regular job hours, but it kept getting busier and busier and busier. And eventually, I came to the realization that I hated my 8 to 5 job. I didn't want to do it. I was even offered a management position at the time that I was getting ready to leave, and I turned it down because I didn't want to. I didn't want to do management for them. I wanted to run my own thing. I was pretty into what I was doing and enjoying it, and I wanted to continue on and see where it went. So I eventually quit my full-time gig and started working just my business. After 2 or 3 years, I went back to my full-time gig to help or maybe it was like a year, I think it was a year later, to help my former employer out of a jam. And I told him, I'm not here for a long time. I'm just here for a good time. I, I'll come back and I'll help as best I can, but I can't promise how long I'll be here. It just depends on how busy I am and, you know, how much how many orders I've got. I mean, how much business I have. And they agreed to that, so I did go back for a period of time, and that really helped with my cash flow because I didn't have to pay myself out of my business while I was working for the other job. And um, so strategically, that was a strategic move. It was um, a way to grow the business um, more heavily than I had previously invested into it while I was working for another job. And of course, eventually that ended and I came back to doing my thing full time. My point is the bad economy will end, things will get better. But the bad economy gives you an opportunity to go slow, not be overwhelmed, and not have to take out a loan to start your business. You can start your business, especially if you're talking about jewelry, you can start your business for like 20 bucks. Seriously. Take $20, invest in some supplies, and make something. And list it. And it will sell. You have to know it's going to sell. And then just don't worry about if it does sell. Don't sit there and say, okay, I listed it a week ago and it's not selling. Just put it on there and leave it alone. Make some other things, or, plan some other designs, or dream about what you want to do in the future. When it sells, take the money from that sale and go buy more materials and make more and list those. And you will be amazed at how fast that actually goes, how quickly that happens. And you'll be even more amazed when you're a year into it, you have a business that is selling on a regular basis and you have zero debt. Zero in debt. Your business is debt free. You can make whatever you want. You can do whatever you want. You don't have any debt. And you started your business with $20. And just trust your instincts. Trust, do a lot of research, look at things that you like, find a niche. If you can find a niche, something that you really like to do, something that's really fun, and you just creatively, when I'm talking about creativity, you go to bed thinking about this creative project. You wake up thinking about this creative project. You cannot wait to get to this creative project. If you are a creative person, then you know what I'm talking about. If you're not a creative person, I recommend accountant for QuickBooks, maybe. No, seriously. If you have an aptitude for creativity and you want to do that, then definitely do that. But it doesn't end with jewelry. There's so many things you can do. If you have a sewing machine, you can make many things and start your own online business. How much does fabric cost? You could probably find some pretty expensive fabric, but in general, you can get fabric pretty inexpensively, make things that people need, and create a business from it. Leather. Some people like working with leather. Everybody needs some form of leather product. There's wallets, there's purses, there's journals, there's so many book covers, there's so many different things that you can create for not a lot of money. Not a lot of money. Maybe you like rhinestones. You like rhinestone clothing. Well, guess what? You can get your own clothes. You can put rhinestones all over them. That is another creative idea. And if that is something that thrills you, then do it. Maybe you like making candles. Maybe you like, there are so many things that you can do. I can only speak for jewelry because, well, I can speak for other things because I do make other things, but primarily Mystic Supplies is a jewelry supplies business. A ring setting and a cabochon, or something like that. Order it in your size. That's another thing too. You want to order it in your size so you can model it, in your photos. You create something that you like. You photograph it, you list it for sale, and then you can wear it for your own jewelry. And then when somebody orders one, you make one for them. That's kind of how I always did it. I didn't keep everything that I created. Some things I made for myself, and I would, make a new one when it sold. Anyway, my point is, if you are struggling financially, if you are having a hard time working for somebody else, you will never get anywhere working for somebody else. I'll tell you that right now. If you cannot get excited about doing something for yourself, business-wise, to take care of yourself. And I know there are people who do this. There are people, I've met people who are like, I don't want to be my own boss for anything. I understand. Just know that you will be a victim of circumstance for the rest of your life, unless you do become your own boss in some capacity. I'm not saying quit your 8 to 5 to go and run your own business with no backing. It's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is do a little tiny bit every single day, and you will be amazed at the options that open up for you as you get busier, as you adjust. Do your 8 to 5 gig. Continue to do it until there isn't a reason or there isn't any time to do it. Because you have to put all your effort and your energy into your business. And that includes something like landscaping. If you want to be a landscaper, you want to be a gardener, or you want to be, something along those lines, you go out on Saturday and Sunday and you do the business 8 to 5 during the week. You do your job, and as you grow, then you can put more effort and energy into your business. Obviously, landscaping, you're going to have a little bit more cost, but it's not going to cost you $20 to replace a lawnmower. But the point is, start doing something. Start doing something, because that is how you open doors for yourself. If you don't open those doors, nobody's going to open them for you. You have to step through, and you have to do it, and you have to make things happen. And you have to listen to nobody. Do not listen to anybody. Don't talk about your plans to anybody. Don't look for, support, or, don't look for anybody to say, yeah, you need to do that. You should do that. They're not going to do it. It's not going to happen. Unfortunately, people like you right where you are. They don't want to see you grow. So, especially if they're not doing it. If they're doing it, then they will be a lot more lenient about helping you. Don't talk about it. Decide you're going to do it and just do it. You don't have to, even if you have a milestone and you want to tell your best friend about your milestone, don't even worry about it. Just keep going. Just keep going. Go as far as you can, possibly can. When you get busy, then you can tell people. But people will talk you out of doing whatever it is you want to do. I don't know if you guys can hear that, but my heater just kicked on. And so I'm like trying to talk over it. And yeah. Anyway, bad economic times right now. This is when you want to start your business. If you want to look at jewelry settings, go to mysticsupplies.com. That is my webpage. And email me. I'll help you if you have questions. Talk soon.